Okay, pay attention, pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. How you doing, Kathy? I had a very interesting trip. Hey, Runbo! I was just going to tell Kathy I had a very interesting trip up this, or I should say, an interesting meeting at Save a Lot. Let's get rolling. Broadcasting live from downtown Cleveland, it's station WDWL TV, starring the Grumpy Old Man, and we are brought to you by Grumpy Vulture Productions. No bow. So, I made my decision. It's Cornish hen. Especially since they were on sale two for $7. I was like, oh, I'll take two. Although, they rearranged this whole goddamn store. And I knew exactly where the Cornish hens were. Now, since I knew where they were, there was no need to wander around the store, even though I had my list. So I go back to the cooler, and there ain't no Cornish hens. I'm like, well, wait a minute. They were right here. So I go all the way up to the front of the cooler. No Cornish hens. I go over on the other side of the cooler. I come all the way down. No Cornish hens. I was like, oh, fuck. So, one of the stock people came out of the back room and I said, hey, I got a question. He says, yes. I said, you got any Cornish hens? He said, yeah, right over. Yeah, I said, that's the same thing I did. He said, let me go up and ask the manager. So I'm thinking, oh shit, now I gotta go to Gigantic Eaglet. So he comes back and he goes, they're over here in he called it a bunker. Okay. He walks me over there, and there's got to be 200 Cornish hens in this cooler, this freezer. So I picked two out, and I happened to look in the cart next to me, and there's this little old black lady that had to be, oh my God, she had to be in her 80s with, I was assuming it was her granddaughter, which it turned out to be. She had 12 of them in the cart. And I says to her, I says, man, you're going to need a hell of a big roaster for those. And she says, honey, are you cooking in 2025 or are you cooking in 1925? I said, well, I'm cooking in 2025. She goes, what the hell you doing using a roaster? I says, it's the way I make my Cornish hens. She says, oh, no, honey, air fryer. I said, air fryer? She said, oh, yeah. She goes, my granddaughter bought me one 2 years ago. That's the way you do Cornish hens. I says, really? Air fryer? And her granddaughter says, you got a piece of paper? And I says, well, yeah, I got my grocery list. She says, here, I'll give you the website. Some recipe website. 45 minutes. Done. From start to finish, 45 minutes. And she told me, first, you start it upside down. After 30 minutes, you flip it over. Then you take butter-flavored, non-stick cooking spray. You gently spray the top of the Cornish hen. Then you put whatever, salt, pepper, chicken seasoning, poultry seasoning. You put it back in for another 15 minutes. It turns out crispy and golden brown, and it's done. So, guess who will not be washing a roasting pan in order to do his Cornish hen? I'm going to do it air fryer. And I'm hearing this from a little 80-year-old grandmother. Yeah, she said, no way, roaster. She said, now her air fryer will hold 2 Cornish hens. So she gets them all set, does 2, takes them out, puts them in a warm oven, does 2 more, and she says, and they're fall apart tender. She said what she does when they're done, she says, I've got kitchen scissors. I cut them in half, and everybody gets half a Cornish hen. She goes, screw that turkey shit. So, and then with them being on sale, 2 for $7. So I got 2. I put 1 in the freezer. The other one's in the fridge. So it'll be defrosted by Thanksgiving morning. And I'm going to air fry my Cornish hen. You know, Ron, I think I could do that. I'm not very artistic, but if I cut out a bat, cut the center out of the paper in the shape of a bat and lay it over one of my lights, I might be able to do that. I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to gargle bat stencil maybe. Yeah, maybe like bat stencil. and get some real, I have some real thick paper. It just might work. If I lay it over one of the lights, it just might work. I'll try it tomorrow. I'll try it tomorrow. Oh, Kathy, I'll tell you. When my son first bought this thing, I bitched at him. I was like, I don't need another goddamn appliance taking up counter space that we aren't going to use. And he goes, you can do anything in an air fryer. I was like, oh, yeah, right. So he said, I'll prove it to you. And he baked a cake in an air fryer. And it was delicious. Moist. Oh, I was like, up. So he said, go up and get a bag of wings. And I'll show you how easy it is to use an air fryer. I went up and I got wings and popped them in the air fryer for like 8 minutes. Done to perfection. Then you're overcooking, Ron, because I've done everything. I've done pork chops. I've done I'm trying to think of the cut of steak. It wasn't a T-bone. Oh, strip steak. I've done strip steak, New York strip, egg rolls, burritos, chimichangas. I've made a couple of meatloafs, but you gotta gauge your temperatures and your cooking time. But I've never had anything dry out. Matter of fact, when I did the strip steak, oh, it was perfect. Matter of fact, it was like medium rare the way I like it. Now, like my son said, take the instructions, throw them away. What I did, I'll show you tomorrow. I'll bring it in. It's out in the kitchen. I bought an air fryer cooking guide. And it's a flip over and it's got everything. And I use that for my cooking times and my temperatures. Everything comes out perfect. As a matter of fact, I got the damn cooking guide off of Temu. I'll look it up, and if I can find it, I'll email you the link. It's a matter of fact, it's on a spiral. You can hang it on, it's hanging on my fridge. And it gets everything. But you have to experiment. Like, say you're doing French fries, and it'll say 350 for 6 minutes. Well, maybe 350 at 6 minutes is the fries are overdone. So the next batch, 350 for 5 minutes. And if you still don't like it, back it down. Yeah, see, the air fryer that my son bought isn't big enough for two Cornish. Well, I could put two in it, but then they'd be squashed together and they wouldn't cook right. But it's perfect for one. Now, I bought that Westinghouse three-way microwave. It's a microwave, it's a convection oven, and an air fryer. I have not figured out how the hell to use it as an air fryer. Because then I could do two Cornish hens at once. I guess what I need to do, because it's amazing, my kid's a whiz at this shit, give him the instruction manual, and then he can show me how to use it as an air fryer. But for Thanksgiving, I'm going to use his. And I downloaded the recipe, and it's simple. I mean, the cooking instructions. Air fryer Cornish hen. And basically, you preheat the air fryer to 390 degrees. Then you pat the Cornish hen dry with a paper towel, season with salt and pepper all the way around. Place it in the air fryer basket. Cook in the preheated air fryer for 15 minutes. Then spray the top with non-cooking spray. And then go another 15 minutes. Temperature check it. If it isn't 165 degrees at the bone, do it for another 10 to 15 minutes. And if you use, like the Black Lady told me, if you use butter flavor cooking spray, it'll crisp up that skin as if you roasted it. Simple as can be. It's amazing. So, I think the one that my son bought is a DeLonghi or DeLonghi, something, got an Italian name. I'll tell you what, I get them frozen egg rolls at Dollar Tree. And you don't thaw them, you cook them frozen. And like 8 or 9 minutes at, no, 6 minutes at 400, and they come out like you get them in a Chinese restaurant. Perfectly cooked all the way through, nice and crunchy on the outside. I say, I buy, if you're going into Dollar Tree, they've got the egg rolls, and they have lobster, shrimp, pork, and vegetable. Then they have burritos. They have chimichangas. I'm trying to think, enchiladas. I buy all that frozen stuff at Dollar Tree, and you're paying $1.25 for a burrito. I do 2 of them, and I have a meal. The egg rolls I'll do 4, because I'm a pig. I do 4 egg rolls. Usually I get the shrimp and the lobster. I'm not big on the pork and the chicken and the vegetable. I haven't baked a cake, but there isn't too much I haven't cooked in the air fryer. And the reason I bought the microwave, first of all, it was on Black Friday sale. And second of all, it was a combo unit: a microwave, a convection oven, and an air fryer. I have yet to figure out how to use it as a convection oven or an air fryer, but it's a hell of a microwave. And it's a big one. What did I 1200 cubic inch, something like that. It's the big one. Takes up the whole. Matter of fact, it hangs over the edge of my microwave cart. Stainless steel, black. Oh, it's beautiful. Digital. I use the hell out of it. I could survive very easily with the microwave and the air fryer, and maybe a hot plate. If I didn't have a stove. But when he brought that thing home, I was like, oh, gee, I got enough of a toaster oven, a microwave. Now you bring home this air fryer. But best item in the kitchen. And I can't wait to do my Cornish hens on Thanksgiving Day. Because I'm not going to be opening and closing a goddamn oven and, taking the lid off the roaster going, okay, baste the chicken, baste the chicken. Nope. 30 to 45 minutes. Although, oh, shit. Well, tomorrow I have to go to Dollar Tree. Hopefully they have the batteries for my digital thermometer. I got a digital meat thermometer that takes like 2 hearing aid batteries, watch batteries. But I can't wait to try it. Because if that thing cooks that Cornish hen like Grandma said, tender and juicy on the inside and crispy skin on the outside, every time Cornish hens goes on sale, there'll be a bunch of them in my freezer. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. Looking in the frozen case, going, oh no, Cornish hens. And even what was surprising, the stock guy didn't know where they were either. He comes back and he said the manager said they're in the bunker. I'm like, holy shit, we got to go, 50 feet underground in order to get a Cornish hen? And it's one of them 4x8 freestanding. And there must have been 200 Cornish hens piled in that thing. And like I say, Grandma next to me had 12. I took my 2. Oh, Jesus. They got again. They got to open that incision again? Oh, God. Oh, I feel sorry for her. Christ, that girl ain't never going to heal up at this rate. When is this? Tomorrow? Well, drive safe. Because, the idiots are on the road already. Drive at your own speed. Don't worry about somebody behind you. Screw them. Just drive safe. And I hope this time she heals up and it's done. I feel sorry for the poor kid. Oh, did you get a can of dog food and make a little birthday cake for her? Take the dog food, make it into the shape of a cake. And instead of a candle, a dog treat, a milk bone. How far a drive is it from your house to Nashville, Kathy? I know you told me once before. Yeah, it's like driving in Cleveland. Yeah, plenty of idiots on any given day. Yeah, not quite 2 hours. So then basically it's like a drive from Cleveland to Columbus. Because I would drive, I get on at 71 and 150th, and I would go down to I can't remember what exit. It basically, the exit is just over the line into Columbus corporate proper, and I did it in about an hour and a half. So yeah, yeah, drive real safe. I'll be thinking about you. I'm sure you're leaving like early in the morning, right? Probably have to be there like at 6:30 to check in. Usually that's the way they do surgery schedules. God, it sucks to make that drive again. Now, is this outpatient, or is she gonna like stay overnight so they can kind of monitor things, or are they gonna open her up, straighten things out, and send her home? God, one surgery is bad enough. Yeah, I would try to miss as much morning rush hour traffic as possible. Outpatient, okay. I mean, yeah, put it this way. If it was me, I would go extra early to miss as much of the morning rush hour traffic and then, sit leisurely at the hospital and calm your nerves. I was going to say go to the cafeteria, but that would be teasing her because I'm sure after midnight, nothing but water. Well, come 11 o'clock, I'll be thinking about her and you both. One thing for sure, at least you're not driving down in no little shit box. You got a lot of steel and aluminum around you. Especially with them big honking tires. Oh, oh. Yeah, it would suck to be eating a big McDonald's breakfast sandwich while she's drinking water. What is this, like the third time now? If anything, she can take a little nap on the way down. But boy, that sucks. My heart goes out to her. Take it from somebody that's had a shitload of surgeries. I'll tell you honestly, the only surgery I really looked forward to was my eyes. The two hernias, the fusion, the carpal, the throat surgery. But the eyes, I was like, I'm ready. Especially after the first eye healed, and I was like, wow. Well, the carpals weren't bad because I was in a twilight sleep. Because the nurses said I was talking through the whole surgery. Matter of fact, the second hand, the surgeon told me, "Shut up. I don't want to hear you yakking." I don't remember it, but they said, "Oh, yeah, you were cracking jokes." And no, when I had the second hernia surgery, which was way less invasive, they put me under. I mean under. But for the carpal, it was a twilight. And when they did my throat, they put me, well, they put me down. I told you that story. Wake up, wake up on the operating table. It was so goddamn cold, I thought I was in the fucking morgue. Matter of fact, I said that. I was like, "Holy shit, I'm in the morgue." Because they had the lights turned way down. As soon as I said that, on came the lights. The nurse said, "No, you're not in the morgue." I said, "Well, I'm freezing to death. Go over to that blanket oven and give me about 20 of them." Oh, that felt so good when they came out with those nice warmed blankets. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Matter of fact, I've got 10 of them. They all say Lakewood Hospital on them. Actually, I should have put one away because there's no longer a Lakewood Hospital, you know. But yeah, I got 10 of them. Because I'll tell you what, I haven't even taken my new electric blanket out of the box yet. Because and it's amazing, you know, those blankets aren't that thick. But boy, are they warm. I guess the next time I strip the bed down and get the old electric blanket out, when I moved from down the street up here, I think I threw away 4 sets of controls because I have a bad habit of fucking up an electric blanket. I have a bad habit of smoking in bed. That's the bad habit. And I'll be laying there not paying attention, and the hand drops down, and next thing you know, it's burning a hole in the electric blanket right where one of the cables is. Ugh. Just fucked up electric blanket. As a matter of fact, as soon as I take this one out of the box, I will order another one. Have it on standby. I think the new one is a Sunbeam. Like I say, it's still in the box. I bought it last year. I have one of them. It's like them racks that they use in the grocery store. Four posts and adjustable clips to adjust the shelves. I've got it looks like a chrome silver in the corner of the bedroom. It's 24 wide by 72 long. And it's got 3 shelves. And I keep my blankets on there and all kinds of shit. And the electric blanket's in the box on the bottom shelf. Because what I'll do is like a half an hour before bedtime, I'll turn it on and I turn it up to broil. And then when I go to get in bed, I turn it down to 1 or 2. And then because I hate getting into a cold bed. Oh. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the new one's a Sunbeam. I think it was on sale. One of those middle of April Black Friday specials, God, I'm tired of seeing everything. Black Friday this, Black Friday that. I guess maybe I'll peruse the Walmart website tomorrow and see if they have a Black Friday sale on electric blankets. Maybe I'll buy my spare early. Yeah, all the electric blankets that I screwed up, I gave away. Matter of fact, the last one I gave to my son's former girlfriend. I said, "Would you like a blanket?" She was like, "Oh, that's very nice. Oh, and it's electric." I said, "No, it's not. I fucked it up. It's a blanket." She took it anyway. She goes, how did you screw it up?" I said, "See this burn hole? See this cigarette burn? It burned right through the cable. Once you burn them cables out, because it's one goddamn wire. It starts at one end and goes to the other. And there's no way of... I tried soldering once. That don't work. So I got my Cornish hens. I got my stuffing mix. I got, oh shit, I forgot cranberry sauce. Well, I guess I'll be going to get some cranberry sauce tomorrow. Then there was something. God, it looked good. It was southern. It was like southern beans and green snaps, and basically it looked like pork and beans with green beans in it. And I grabbed the can, and then I was like, well, what if I don't like it? I can't remember who makes it. Because they make collard greens and mustard greens and turnip greens, and this was. I'm trying to think of what the. Like I say, if you looked at the can, it looked like pork and beans with green beans. But it was like southern beans with green snaps or something. It was the label. I guess since I have to go and get cranberry sauce, I'll buy a can. I'll try them. And then I'll show you what the hell I'm talking about. Because this company, they make all kinds of southern style dishes. Like I say, mustard greens, turnip greens, collard greens, these beans and green snaps. They also make the candied sweet potatoes. I'll buy a can. I'll chance it. Because I love collard greens. I've never tried turnip greens or mustard greens, but I love collard greens. Every now and then, I'll get fresh collard greens and a couple of smoked pork hocks. And you put them in a pan, you cover them with just enough water, and then you simmer them like all day. And oh, God, what a meal! Hocks and greens. Matter of fact, I'll have to look and see if I can find some smoked pork hocks. That actually sounds. That's a good winter dish. Because I could buy them and keep them in the fridge. Although, trying to find fresh collard greens. Yeah, I used to make that on a regular basis. Hocks and greens. Sit down to a big bowl of that in the winter. That's a meal that sticks to your ribs. Kathy, you have any idea what I'm talking about with this beans and green snaps? I think that's what it said on the can. But they look like green beans mixed in with pork and beans. It said a true southern favorite. And I had the can. I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it. And I put it back on the shelf. I guess tomorrow, since I have to get cranberry sauce anyway, I'll take a chance. Because I got, I got a can of whole potatoes, which I'll heat up and I'll mash them. Shelly beans. Maybe that's what it said in the can. Shelly beans and greens. I remember the green snaps. And they look like green beans. But it looked on the can like pork and beans with green beans mixed in. I'm going to try it. Hey, it's a 50-50 shot, right? Either I like them or I don't. If I don't like them, I'll eat them anyway because I don't waste food. They looked good on the can. I was like, back on the shelf. But since I forgot the cranberry sauce, I'll get a can. Because I do have a can of collard greens in the cupboard. Now, I'm not going to make a shitload of food. That's why I bought a can of whole potatoes, because I'll mash them, I'll whip them, put a little... Well, I'm not going to buy whipping cream. I got half and half. A little butter, my Irish butter. I'll whip the potatoes up. That'll give me a bowl full, just enough. I've got the sweet potatoes. I got the stuffing. I got the Cornish hen. I'll have my Thanksgiving feast. Although I could not find a jar of turkey gravy. I found chicken gravy, but I figured the Cornish hen and the potatoes would be great with turkey gravy. Not one jar in the store. It had beef gravy, chicken gravy, regular gravy, no turkey gravy. They didn't even have turkey gravy in the dry packets. since I have to go to the store, I'll get a can of them, whatever. Because whatever manufacturer it is, they make all the southern stuff. Like I say, collard greens, mustard greens, turnip greens. They make the sweet potatoes, and they make these other beans. I think it was like $1.59 for the can. I'll try them. Who knows? Maybe I'll like them. They might become a regular in my cupboard. I buy a lot of stuff that my kid don't like. He opens a cupboard the other day, went, collard greens? Oh, I, like I say, I've had collard greens. What is basically the difference in flavor from a collard green to a mustard green to a turnip green? I I I've never had turnip greens or mustard greens. Never. As many times as I'm walking in the store going, maybe I'll try them. I've never tried them. But collard greens, oh God, I can eat the whole can in one sitting. And they're good for you too. Any type of greens. But whatever company that makes them, I like the way they're seasoned. I guess maybe, all right, mustard greens are a little on the bitter side, okay. Then I might not care for those. Although, like my former black neighbor up the street, she told me, get a can of each and pour them in a pot and mix them all together. I never did. As a matter of fact, when I told her I made smoked pork hocks and collard greens, she laughed her ass off. She says, oh my God, the honky eating soul food. I said, yep. No, she called me a cracker. She said, the cracker eating soul food. I said, hey, it's good stuff. Sometime I'll get smorked. I'll get some smorked pork hocks and do them in lima beans. Get the dried lima beans. That's good. Yeah, the cracker eating soul food. I would tend to think if the mustard greens have a little bit of a bitter taste, I would think the turnip greens might be the same way. I guess I'll be trying them. Not for Thanksgiving, but next time I go grocery shopping, I'll get a can of mustard greens. Then the next time I'll get turnip greens. Who knows? I might like them all. All right, don't drop the iPad in the bathtub. They don't like water. It's like when I was young. Ooh, I don't think I'd like them. If No, I don't think I'd like turnip greens then. Although, I don't know if I don't try them. Like my grandfather always said, try something at least once. I mean, even if I don't like them, I'm going to eat them. I'm not going to waste them. And what is it, 15-ounce can? Yeah, I'll never forget when I was a little kid. I asked my father if I could have some bath toys. So he threw in a toaster and a hair dryer. Do you happen to watch last night? It made national TV. The girl's name was Leilani, and her son was, I think, 2. And she kind of went off the deep end and she gave the kid a dirt nap. And then she tossed him in a dumpster. And then came home and reported him kidnapped. I remember watching that one shortly after the interrogation tapes got released. And then I watched it again last night. And it was amazing how she just kept lying and lying and lying. Oh, you saw the trial? Oh, God, that had to be interesting. Because I'll tell you what, the police did a hell of an investigation. Boy, they had her dead to right. And she just kept denying it all along. I can't remember what state. But they happen to have the security cam video of her pulling up to the dumpster. And the whole thing was her mother had legal custody of her two kids. And why she did that, I mean, we never got an answer. But, technically, she didn't have to worry about the kids anymore because her mother she signed her rights over to her, or the court gave the two kids to the mother. That was a sad one. Then I watched another one. It was out west, Idaho, Utah, somewhere in farming country. And this woman, she was like in her late 30s. And she was having an affair with a 22-year-old guy. And she gave her husband a dirt nap. And then, talk about an act. Oh my God, sobbing and crying. And it took them 3 years of investigating to find out. I mean, the police suspected her, but they could never prove it. Trial was in Georgia. Okay, I knew it was not around here. But if you would have seen the act in the interrogation room, but first of all, their house was like in the middle of God's country. There was no close neighbor because it was farming country. And then there was no forced entry. And like the police kept saying, who is going to randomly pick a farm, go in, and for no reason give a guy a dirt nap? Nothing stolen, no forced entry. But it took them 3 years. But, people are stupid. Because no matter how much shit you delete off your cell phone, they can retrieve it. And it took almost, like I said, almost 3 years for them to retrieve all the text messages between her and her boyfriend. They planned this for like 4 months. Because her husband was asleep in the recliner, and she lets her boyfriend in, who gives her husband a dirt nap. And then they he fired 2 shots, and they couldn't find the second shell casing. Well, then 2 years down the line, he gives his buddy several guns, and he said, "Hold these for me." Well, the buddy was like, "Why am I holding your guns?" And he gave some lame ass reason. And the buddy turned around and went right to the police department and said, "Hey, Joe Fabeats wants me to hold these guns." And then there was a case over in England. And I didn't know that over in England, they sell a Ford Raptor Ranger. It's a Ford Ranger, but it's like a miniature version of the Raptor. It's across the grill Raptor. It's a shrunken version of a big F-150. It is a neat looking truck. It's a Ford Ranger, but it's a Raptor. Well, this guy, he mowed down 2 people on an electric bike. He thought these 2 guys had broke into his house, and they were just 2 random guys on an electric bike. Well, he mows them down. So he takes and throws the keys away to the Raptor. The police find the Raptor a couple miles from his house. But without having the original keys, the police department couldn't get the data from the black box in the Raptor, which basically would have been evidence to go along with the eyewitnesses. And they said that even though a locksmith could make another key, which would start the truck and do everything, the black box knows it's not the original key, and it wouldn't release the data. I was like, boy, these black boxes in these new vehicles are really tricky. And people don't realize that your vehicle now has a black box in it like an airliner. Now, I've known that for quite a while because back when I was working for the insurance company, which was, I want to say, late 90s, you could obtain certain parameters, but it wasn't a lot of information. But today, all vehicles have a black box. And I think they say it holds 30 minutes. The last 30 minutes. And it gives it just like a black box in a plane. And had they been able to download the data, they would have had the speed that he hit and so on. It's they won't say exactly how much these black boxes memorize, but it is a shitload of data. It's like a black box in an airliner. And every vehicle, I think since, I want to say 2012 or 2013, and every year they add more parameters. Because they can get the speed, the braking. It gives oil temperature, coolant temperature. I mean, the readings are unbelievable that come out of these black boxes. And people don't realize their car's got one. And a lot of insurance companies, if you get like arrested for DUI and you cause an accident, they go in and they download all that information. But see, they won't say what information they can retrieve. But they're saying it's like a black box in an airliner today. And every vehicle manufactured has one. And over in Britain, oh man, they download all that information right away. They are big on the black boxes over in England. Even more than we are here. And the average person doesn't know that. But they started experimenting back in the late 90s, early 2000s. But now, in today's vehicles, they're so sophisticated, it's unbelievable. So, your cell phone tattles on you, your vehicle tattles on you, You're not safe anywhere today. Because people think if they shut their cell phone off, that they can't get any information. Well, they can't get your geolocation, but they can triangulate cell towers because technically, even though your phone is off, it's still sending a signal. So, where if your phone is on and law enforcement can go in and find out what routes you took and so on, they can still triangulate and say, well, you were in a certain area at a certain time. But they can't pinpoint as if your cell phone is on. And you can't turn that geolocation off. People think, oh, well, I've got, Google GPS. I'll turn it off. It still tattles on you. All done. I take it you didn't drop the iPad in the bathtub. Like my new cell phone. It says it can be dropped in water. Now it says you can't leave it in there for hours. But if you drop it in a puddle and you pick it out right away, you're safe. I'm not about to test that theory. Be my luck, I would have the factory defect, drop it in a puddle and poof. Whoop. Oh well. I was watching an old news story I happened to come across where a garbage truck had caught fire on a freeway, and by the time the fire department came out, the truck burned to the ground. And they went through the burnt trash, and they found out that somebody threw out a couple of cell phones. And when the garbage truck compressed all the garbage, those cell phone batteries overheated and started a fire. Unfortunately, they couldn't tell where the cell phones were picked up or anything, but yeah, I guess some idiot, these phones aren't any good anymore. Chuck them in the garbage. Truck comes and picks them up, compresses them, And then the garbage truck caught fire and burnt to the ground. But it was amazing when they got to the landfill. They were picking through all the burnt garbage, and they found these cell phones melted together. And they said that's what caused the fire. So it just goes to show you, even with all today's modern technology, lithium batteries are still touchy. I took all my old cell phones, and I can't remember the website. It was basically, it was a national organization, and they collected old cell phones to give them to homeless people. Now, the only thing the cell phones really were good for was to dial 911. Because what people don't realize is, even if you've got a cell phone that is no longer connected to Verizon or AT&T, you can still dial 911. If the phone is charged, you can still call 911. You can't use it like with Wi-Fi or anything. It won't connect. But even a cell phone that's disconnected from cell service will still be able to call 911. Or over in England, 999. It was originally it was a federal standard in America, and then all countries adopted it. Oh, no, no, no. No. It wasn't homeless. It was battered women. It was a national organization for battered women. And they would give them a cell phone and a charger, and they would say, hey, keep this phone charged, because even though it's not connected to a network, you can still dial 911 in an emergency. It was for battered women and women who suffer domestic violence. And I packaged them all up and I sent them to them. And got a nice thank you note. But it started out originally it was a federal mandate, and then every country adopted it. So no matter where you go, like if you go to London, you can dial 999, and I think Australia is like 111 or something. It would have been nice if they would have adopted a worldwide emergency number. But America's got 911, and Canada, I think, has got 999, like Britain, In Australia, I can't remember. It's either 111 or maybe 999. I mean, originally we were supposed to have 999. And they said, well, some kid playing with a cell phone might dial 999, you know. So that's when they went to 911. Like some kid ain't gonna be, oh, nine. It said on the police car 911, 911. Yeah, I can't remember. Matter of fact, I came across that website. No, it was in a news article. And it's got to be 3, 4 years ago. And at that time, I had like 4 old cell phones, and I didn't want to throw them out. So I had to remove the batteries because the battery had to be separately wrapped. But I wrapped them up, boxed them, and sent them off. As a matter of fact, I've got 2 brand new cell phones in the box. They're Obama phones. And I should do something with them because they're not doing me any good. They sent them to me, I didn't want them. And then they didn't want them back either. I can't remember what I can't remember what cell phone companies they were connected to. They were Obama phones. And one outfit sent me one, and another outfit sent me one, and I didn't want either one, and they didn't want them back. I said, they're brand new in the box. I haven't even opened the box. Well, I opened the box. I didn't do anything with them. They said, well, keep them. We don't want them. I said, you could send them to somebody that needs them. Nope, we don't want them. I think they're on the bottom shelf over here. They're brand new. They're weird Chinese knockoffs, but I never heard of either one. I'll have to dig them out because they're 2 oddballs. I never heard of either one of these manufacturers. I'm trying to think of one of them is like a UMax, something like that, and then the other one is like no, because you can tell how close of a knockoff. One of them is an IMAX. It looks similar to an iPhone, but it's an IMAX. And then the other one is U something. I can't remember. They're real chintzy I could see why they don't want them back, but I didn't want them. They were like, keep them. And they're down on the bottom shelf here. I'll have to dig them out. Maybe go up to the cell phone place up the street and ask him if he wants them. Because that way he might be able to sell them. I'm not looking to get anything out of them because I didn't want them to begin with, and they're just sitting there collecting dust. Tell them here, here's 2 brand new phones. If you can make a few bucks, have a nice day. You know, it was amazing. Mr. Big Hair wanted to end the Obama phone program. And usually all of his, Republican buddies go along with him. And it was surprising when they said, no, we're not voting to end that program. Sorry. It's sad that they ended so many programs, though. There's so many clinics that are closing up because they don't have federal funds. I just, it'll never happen. But I stop and think, well, maybe when, you're no longer president and you lose all your money, you'll be saying, gee, I wish I could, get this free, or super discounted medical care, and I could maybe get an Obama, well, he could get an Obama phone. I'm surprised he hasn't changed the name of it. We're going to call it Trump phone. They'll all be gold. I can imagine what this ballroom is going to look like. It'll be dripping in gold, like the Oval Office. Jesus Christ. Because in the interview that he did, he was like, "Oh, this is real gold. This isn't phony." There is a YouTube video of the inside of his personal jet. You think the Oval Office is dripping in gold? You ought to see the inside of that freaking 740, 767, or whatever. Disgusting. He reminds me of a, 15th, 16th century king. Gold everywhere. Banana cream. Tastes like banana too. Although I want to get a green tank. This one's clear. I ordered it in this neat color green. I want to get a green glass tank for it. Black Friday special. 50% off. That's why I bought the new one. Tell my doctor I'm cutting down on cigarettes. I'm vaping now. He'll tell me, cut that out too. Kind of a nice unit. I like it. My son's got one. It's got a big square box on it. It's not the easiest thing to hold, but this is nice because it even has like a leather hand grip on it here. Fancy schmancy. Rechargeable. USB. Yeah, we have I think it's hilarious. We have a vape shop just up the street. Matter of fact, one of my son's buddies owns it. And the name of the shop is Planet of the Vapes. I think it's kind of unique. Instead of Planet of the Apes, it's Planet of the Vapes. And man, you ought to see the inventory he's got in that store. Holy shit. I never knew there were so many different manufacturers and designs, and not to mention he's got a whole wall that goes the length of the store, which has got to be 50, 60 feet. From about 3 feet off the floor to the ceiling of different vape juices. They make every combination on earth and every flavor. The last one I had was strawberry banana. This one's banana cream. I like or is this one banana custard? Oh, banana cream pie. Banana cream pie. I think the last one I had was strawberry banana custard. And it's amazing. This does taste like banana cream pie. It's amazing. But you name it, they've got, you could get kumquat and I'm surprised they don't have like steak and pork chop and every flavor you could think of, every weird combination you could think of. You know, I'm surprised they don't have like banana artichoke turnip. Although I can only do this so long and I need a smoke. Because it's a real low nicotine version. I'm trying to cut back. But I should have gone up one level. Because this doesn't totally satisfy me like a cigarette does yet. I think the next time I need some juice, I'll kick it up a notch. And then kick it down a notch. I really am trying to cut back on the because even the generics are creeping up there in price. Because I could get two packs, including tax, and it was $10.80. The other day when I went and got 2 packs, it's now $11.60. So although that's 2 packs. My buddy smokes Pall Mall Red hundreds. $9.99 a pack for 1 pack. And frickin' Parliaments, which I used to smoke for years, are like $11.40 for a pack. Although I told you when my buddy was in New York City, he smokes Marlboro Red hundreds. And he went into a smoke shop and asked the guy for a pack of Marlboro Red hundreds. And the guy said $22.75. And my buddy said, I only want 1 pack. And the guy said, that is 1 pack, sir. Can you see paying $22 for 1 pack of cigarettes? God, how do people survive in New York? That is going to be probably the most expensive city in America to live in. I don't know how people can afford to live in that city. $22 for 1 pack of cigarettes. I could almost imagine what groceries cost. Holy shit. You go to buy a loaf of bread and there's a finance man sitting at the bread counter. You want 1 loaf or 2? You want that for 12 months, 18 months, 24 months? How do you want to pay? Then I heard the other day Oh, God, yeah, Ron, rinse. My buddy's daughter went to some art school in New York. And she rented an efficiency apartment, which basically, right, Kathy, is a shoebox. And the rent was like $2,700 a month. And it was an efficiency. I'm like, you got to be kidding. And then I heard the other day that they're thinking of instituting lifetime mortgages. You buy a house, it's like 60 years. You can finance it for 60 years. I can almost imagine what the interest would be. God, I thought a 30-year mortgage was bad. Although I have heard that you can actually get a 10-year mortgage on a car. Can you imagine? The goddamn car will be wore out before your frickin' auto loan is paid for. Yeah, 10-year auto loan. Of course, we're probably talking, high-end Acura or Genesis or something, but 10 years? Can you see financing a car for 10 years? The car would be wore out, and you probably have 4 more years to pay. Yeah, my buddy was telling me the other day. His son was looking at I don't remember what kind of car it was. And they asked him, I said, well, if you want, we can probably get you in a 10-year auto loan. And he said, 10 years? And I'm like, yeah. Christ, when my kid bought his, it was like 72 months. Can you imagine 120 months? Christ, at the time he had that Impala, when he was driving from here to Twinsburg, God, the mileage he was cranking on that car. And you know the distance, Kathy, because I live right at 130th and I-71. And he was driving to frickin' Twinsburg. That Cifron company out there. Christ, he was bitching like every month and a half he had to get an oil change. Christ, he went through 2 sets of tires. And the car needed a third set when it got repoed. Because when he got it, it had, well, they're not the greatest, Michelin's. Yeah, they're good tires, but they're not like they used to be. And then he needed tires. I can't remember what. I got him a deal online. Oh God, what the hell was the name of those tires? Believe me, they weren't Goodyears. Toyo. T-O-Y-O. Toyo. And they were decent. But like I say, when it was getting repoed, it needed a set of tires again. But he'd go 71 to or no, he would go up and get on 480. Yeah, he'd go up 130th to Brook Park, get on 480, 480 to 271, and then 271 to whatever exit he got off at Twinsburg. Or sometime he'd take 90. There's a way of going 90 to 480 to. I didn't want to know. I could kill him for losing that job. I miss all the perks. I miss the Jew boys giving me Christmas presents. God, those were two nice guys. They really were. I couldn't believe it the day he came home and said they demanded the temporary agency release him so they could hire him. And he was the only one out of like 20 temps. Then they trained him to run that $500,000 forklift, and he got in an accident with it. And they went, accidents happen. If somebody had an accident in my $500,000 brand new forklift, I'd have fired him on the spot. Accidents happen. Be more careful. Take the earbuds out. You don't need to listen to the rap music all day. Oh, Kathy, you should see the heap of peppers and onions I cooked up today. My skillet was full to the top. I look like a samurai ship cutting them green peppers and onions. Yeah, it's a 12-inch skillet. It was full to the top. And tonight, I'm going to have a pepper and onion sandwich with some Italian sausage. Is I take the baguette and I slather it with marinara sauce. Then I put on a nice thick heaping layer of peppers and onions, put the Italian sausage on, and then another heaping thick layer. Yeah, I have a pepper and onion sandwich with a little bit of Italian sausage on it. Oh, was it good last night? Oh, yeah, man. I heat the marinara sauce up, and then I slowly slather the baguette with it. It gets nice and juicy. Then a nice big thick layer of peppers and onions. And then I'm trying to eat it, making sure everything stays in. Stay in. Nope. Oh, on my shirt. That's why I don't have the orange shirt on tonight. It got a little peppered and onion, a little marinara sauce. I could have eaten the shirt. Speaking of, I think it's time to make that sandwich. Ooh. I'm down to 5%. We might not have no music here. Oh, I'm down to 5%. Man, that's scary. Let's see if I can get it to play. We know where, right here, WDWL TV. All right, everybody, thanks for hanging in there. And Kathy, drive safe tomorrow. I'll be thinking about you and the unfortunate granddaughter that's got to go through this shit again. But I hope they catch it this time and everything works out fine. And with that, everybody, have a wonderful rest of your evening. And we will meet again tomorrow. See ya. Okay, take two.